Now,
Hmm.
on to, I guess, one of the main topics that I wanted to talk about, but
Yeah.
it's been a lot of stuff going on in the news. What was it like?
Hmm.
A meat processing center just got had some type of hack. There's
Yep.
been multiple hacks in the U.S. Now, I just want to, I guess, get your expertise on how these types of
Hmm.
incidents actually happen.
Yeah. So like incident response for those type of
Hmm.
things, those type of
Yes,
incidents.
yes.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
So no, you good, man. So pretty much, man, for like the last, I say 3 to 5 years or so, it's pretty much been like the emergence, the growth of what you call ransomware, right? That's
Hmm.
a type of malware or malicious software that a lot of organizations use, like malicious organizations use to encrypt or kind of like take your data or information for ransom and make you pay to get that information back. So really what we're seeing, just like you mentioned for the meat processing organization, the Colonial Pipeline was also another one. I think even this week it was like a ferry boat or
Yeah.
type of boat or something that had got some malware or some ransomware on it. These are all pretty much victims of ransomware attacks. So it's really, ransomware is a financially motivated type of attack. So what happens is that these attackers or these attack groups, whether they're in Russia, a lot of times, whether they're in China, whether they're in North Korea, they will make this malware, and they could even possibly sell it to other groups, other malicious groups, in order to use. So they would put out bots, right? They'll look for internet-facing assets. So you're a DBA, right? Like a database administrator.
Hmm.
So you got all these like Oracle databases or SQL databases, right? So what would happen is that if your database is connected to the internet, there are different bots, or they might even have other like hackers, actually people on the keyboard looking for your organization's critical assets, or what you call like your crown jewels.
Hmm.
So they're looking for those, looking to get access to those, and then drop the ransomware. And once ransomware hits a system, it's looking to continuously infect files, infect, using different protocols like FTP, using Telnet, using a lot of times mainly like SMB, like
Yeah.
using SMB heavily to encrypt file shares within Windows systems. So that's just one example, but they're looking to encrypt, and they're looking to get money to unencrypt those systems. So that's pretty much what's been happening there.
And yeah, I've been following a lot of these things in the news, man. It's crazy,
Yeah.
the amount of money that they get out of these organizations. And a lot of times,
Oh yeah.
well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
As far as the amount of money, do most companies just end up getting to the point where they just pay?
That's a good question. That's a really good question, right? Because
Hmm.
that's not only a question that you have, but that's a question that CEOs have, CFOs, right? Chief Financial Officers, and
Hmm.
CISOs, Chief Information Security Officers have, because they need to understand what the business impacts to their organization are if ransomware gets on their system. So to answer your question, I would say it depends, right? It definitely depends. Because say, for instance, you might have a facility that gets ransomware on it, but you have like oodles and noodles of backups, right?
Hmm.
So you got so many backups, and for those systems that are infected, they might not be that critical, right? It might be, I don't know, an old Windows XP machine or something that's not really critical to your system. It might just be holding some data that you already have backed up.
Hmm.
So in that case, organizations might choose not to pay, but rather take those systems out of service
Hmm.
and restore them to backup on a clean device, whether it's a server, whether it's a workstation. But in a lot of cases, hackers are looking for organizations that have critical systems, critical assets. So you look at the Colonial Pipeline, they have some critical systems, business systems within that organization, which affect what you call the critical infrastructure of the United States.
Hmm.
So those larger organizations are targeted because, one, the attackers know they got the money, they know they got the bag,
Yeah.
and two, they know that they have critical systems that if they go down, it can affect the business
Mhm.
of that organization.
Now let me
So
ask you.
the major,
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
Go
I'm sorry. Go, no. Ask away, because I'll just keep on going if you don't stop me, man.
Nah, you good. I was
ahead.
just gonna ask, like, so do these companies have like some type of other, I don't know, like insurances set aside for this type of stuff? In case, and if you know about it, can you speak on it, or I don't
Absolutely,
know?
Yeah. Many companies have what you call cybersecurity insurance. So a lot of times when the incident response is started, because like I never said, the organization I work for a company called Mandiant FireEye. So pretty much we're the ones like when you see like ATP 21 or ATP 3, like advanced persistent threat. FireEye and Mandiant is the organization that makes those classifications. So we have threat intelligence on all types of threat actors all over the world. So we do a lot of what you call incident response. Is when a company gets hacked, we're the ones who come in and pretty much are hands on the keyboard, dealing with the organization and really trying to get them back up and running. So to answer your question about cybersecurity insurance, that's one of the first things that we ask if we're starting an incident, right? Do you guys have insurance? Because those ransoms can come out of that insurance that the organization has been paying towards, right? And then you also have legal. So you have lawyers. You also have individuals who are part of marketing, or not necessarily marketing, but communications. So a lot of times when organizations get hacked, it's not only like us tech people that get involved in the process, but it can be legal, it's executives, it's managers, it's communications, it's so many different individuals who are involved in dealing with these hacks. So there's even one thing in what you call like ransom negotiators. They have security firms that literally have people who negotiate with the attackers in order to understand, maybe to bring down the ransom a little bit, right? Like, hey, that's too high. This is what we're actually able to pay, or really try to negotiate the ransom away completely. That's not always the case. Negotiations aren't always successful, but there are firms that have that capability to negotiate with the hackers. So it's a really interesting thing.
Now, let me ask you this as well. Do you think since a lot of this stuff is happening, it seems like within the last couple months or so, where they've been, I don't know, hitting infrastructure, do you think this has something to do with I say government attacks? Because the governments are always, and that's something you talked about with Stuxnet. We all heard the stories when it comes to that that was a country that created that and pushed that out there to actually take down whoever. Do you think this is some sort of attack, especially since we're coming out of the pandemic and things are we just trying to recover as far as the the country? What are your thoughts?
So I do think that, one is that most of these attacks come from financial motivations, right? Organizations attacking organizations, they want to get some money out of it. But at the same time, it can also be seen as a way, another type of warfare, which is called cyber warfare, right? Nations against nations. So sometimes these can be what you call cloaks, or some organizations could be using these malicious actors in order to test out attacks against nations to understand what they can do and what they can't do, right? So they might be using the bad actors as like a little ploy to see like, okay, we could get at the United States in this particular way because they have this type of vulnerabilities. So, I do think that things are really much so shifting towards a cyber warfare type of system, where groups are targeting what you call critical infrastructure, hospitals, pipelines, all of these critical systems to a nation, the electrical grid. They're targeting these things in order to really understand how weak organizations can be from a cyber perspective. Because these days, cyber systems, right, it's not just a computer. So, and that's the area that I dwell in, right? Industrial control systems, where it's not just a computer that runs a process that stores some data, but the type of computers that I deal with a lot of times are what you call PLCs, programmable logic controllers. Where if you're able to touch one of these systems or change something within these, it can open a door. It can open a control valve. It can turn up or turn down a switch. It can cause some really, it goes from cyber to physical type of things. Mm-hmm. So I say all that to say, yes, that a lot of this is going to cyber warfare, and a lot of this is getting kind of scary.
Yeah,